Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game Masters Under Dark, where two Game Masters have gotten together this week to discuss your questions about tabletop role-playing games. As always, I'm your host, one of your hosts, rather, Will. You guys can probably tell I'm a little under the weather, so I beg pardon. But I'm joined this week by Matt R. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good and healthy. The opposite.
Yeah. I feel like I've been sick for 2 out of the last 4 of these. I'm not doing well. But our other game master,
Send Will medicine.
right?
That's illegal. Don't do that. Send him food. Food's medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really need any more food. Just look at me. But
send Will whatever he wants. He has a wish list somewhere.
I'm sure I gotta find it. Unfortunately, we are not joined this week by our other Matt. Kind of mentioned it last week. He started a new job and his schedule's a little different, so he's not able to join us. But Matt, if you're listening or watching, we miss you, buddy, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon.
Talked to him like 2 days ago. It's like, we miss you, buddy. It's been so long.
You know, the people didn't know that, Matt. Now the illusion has been ruined. No, we talk to each other like every day, but in all seriousness, though, he is out. Like I said, we did start a new job, so we don't know exactly when he will or won't be available. Just kind of play it by ear and go from there. So that being said, now that my train of thought has been completely derailed,
keeping it loose,
right? I know
it's Matt ain't here. There's no structure.
Right, I'm trying not to laugh. I pulled a muscle real bad the other day. It took me out of commission, but so I'm trying not to laugh, plus cough and all that. But we do have a question. This time it is coming from the DM Academy subreddit, and I actually really like this question for a one-on-one with you and me because it is a lot. It's a role-playing based question, something that's really big in your games. I mean, more so than, I'm still trying to find my way, but, as we've established, Matt is a nuts and bolts guy.
I will just play a role play session if people wouldn't do it. If we just want to make up what dice and numbers are, I'm okay with that.
Well, not maybe another session. That actually would be a fun.
That's what I'm just like, just lie to me. I'll run with it.
Yeah, well, we will. I'll write it down. I'll take a note, and that actually would be a fun one-off session thing. But the question:
a game where any number that you roll on a dice is nothing but a 1 or a 20. Let's just let's be chaos for a moment.
Okay. Oh god, entropy brought to life. I can't. No, that doesn't work for me. That me and my OCD. That nope.
The best part is that you would get to decide, do you want this to be a 1 or a 20? I would make up rules. Not everybody can have 20s throughout the whole session. It would be a whole thing. Anyways, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll work that out later. But the question comes from Largest Loki 455, and the title kind of says it all. But I'll read their exact question. So, what do you do about a pacifist player? So they wrote, I'm a new DM and I have a player who decided that their character is an extreme pacifist. They won't kill anyone to the detriment of the party. They are a life domain cleric, and they worship Eldath, the god of peace. They are a new player also, so I'm happy about their commitment to roleplay, but they need to be a benefit to the party as well. What type of in-game experience would you have this character go through in order to learn that fighting is necessary sometimes? I'm not expecting them to completely abandon pacifism, just find some way to justify fighting when it's necessary for the party. And so
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's why I thought you and I would have a little fun with this question, because I think it's an interesting one.
So, fun fact, and you kind of know about this, we mentioned it 1 or 2. The first character I ever played for the other Matt's game was a pacifist. So, like, I'm like, I knew what I wanted back then, and it was like, I don't know how well Matt. I don't even know if he liked that character. Maybe he had this problem. Maybe this is Matt in the past. When was this written?
Just
um,
just earlier today, I think I was perusing around and I thought I liked it.
but I could definitely see myself coming off as a problem player back then because I provided a situation that maybe the DM wasn't quite ready to handle. What my character was essentially somebody who was a sorcerer who didn't want to use magic. Huh, interesting. How are you gonna play that, Matt? I tell you
Yeah,
what, I did for one session. We never played that session again, but I mean that game again. Maybe we played it once or twice. I don't remember, but I do remember that at one point after that first session, I had the thought of being like, well, that wasn't fun. Not for me as the player, as the one who created this concept. And I think it may be because it was also Matt's first time DMing this whole thing. So it was a mixture of news coming together and just problems everywhere, really.
right.
But I know as a player, I had the idea of like, I wanted to create a pacifist character. That being said, I didn't think that they would forever be pacifist. So maybe have that conversation with the player. Just like, is there something that like would crack the player? Maybe not like make them deranged, like go crazy and abandon all their morals and whatever, but something that would push them. And that said, you can like build up to it in your story. You have like your large story up here, then subplot being like this character is slowly being pushed into non-pacifism, that kind of thing. I can't say
Pacifism.
pacifism, and that could be cool for the character. That said, how could they still like help with the group? Um, did they say what kind of character it was?
It's a life domain cleric.
Life domain cleric. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, you can like definitely focus on healing. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Focus on aid, all that kind of stuff. I mean, heck, you have parties that like are players and people that are like, we really need a cleric, and if they care about that, this is your guy. This is the one.
Yeah.
But that said, when it comes to combat situations, I like to do this when I'm doing an encounter. Try to sprinkle in some dialogue and stuff throughout the encounter. And I'm sure people do that regularly, but like really focus on this character. Like, say you like fighting a bunch of gnolls or something, and just have gnolls point out, like, hey, he's not helping you. Go after him, that kind of thing. And like, like your enemies can be aware of the situation, be like, this one won't try to kill us, that kind of thing. And then that could trigger something. He's got to be they just got to be like, oh, I'm being targeted. Maybe that would break my character, realizing like the world is dangerous, and to protect the world, to keep peace, I have to take a life. I don't know if you want to go that dark with it, but like
Yeah.
that's an idea. Like,
So before I get into what I would do, which I actually did after I read this post, I do like your idea of the dialogue. I would do it a little different in that I would like wait till you have like cure wounds, healing word, and then it's like, oh, he's not fighting. He's going to keep these guys alive. We have to take him out. So similar to what you said, but instead of like he's not helping, like he's weak. If he's not fighting, they're probably going to be like, well, forget him. He's not doing anything. But the minute you cast a healing spell, oh no, now you're a
yeah,
problem.
big news.
Yeah.
I always like to think that when I'm playing like an enemy and like just bandits or just anybody like with an above average intelligence, I mean, I say above average, like even a commoner, so even a commoner could guess like, oh, if someone's casting spells, they're probably a big player on this battlefield. Like, I should not take them for granted. It's the people with like one intelligence that I would be like, okay, maybe they just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, if anybody like that can like process a situation and comprehend it back, they could see like somebody cast a spell. Oh, they could be like a real threat.
Yeah, and I use the healing spell, but yeah, you could cast shield. A lot of people make fun of this spell guidance, which kind of guarantees you like a hit. Like it could be any, like you said, any spell. The minute you see that magic go off, it's like, yeah,
And
we need to go after him.
that's something I do in my games. I've done it in one my big one, which I call Art Holden, which is just like a big old homebrew D&D game, but where the people's spells, or I'm sorry, their classes are largely hidden until the moment that they do something. And it's like it's when a person walks out of a tree that you realize, oh shoot, that person's a druid. Or like when they cast guidance, you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where they are in the spectrum of classes, but can't narrow it down because so many classes use that. But like your characters would know that, especially growing up in a world where that's common or heard of. At least your characters would know that. And so like so with the enemies.
Yeah, and yeah, so I think that's definitely I like the dialogue option. I think that's a really good way to set it up.
Mhm.
The thing that I would do in that I did actually when I saw this question was me, I immediately researched. I'm like, who is this particular deity? I don't know who they are. They're not.
Oh yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So just for some background for those who might not know, I just did a quick Google search and it took me to the Forgotten Realms wiki. Anybody that wants to do anything in the Forgotten Realms setting, in Faerun, bookmark it, stamp it, do whatever you got to do. I love this website. I live here for the most part because I think all my games take place here. I think that I've ever done in somewhere in the Forgotten Realms. So I love this site. But it says Eldath was known as the Green Goddess, Mother Guardian of Groves, or the Mother of the Waters. She acted as a guardian of groves and watersheds, and her presence was felt wherever there was calm. So, like, that's like the quick initial blurb. And then it kind of gives you some information. So, like, her favorite monsters, like in this case, not like what a ranger would have, like a favorite enemy. These are like monsters that they're like that are revered by this god. um yeah, that's I find out some interesting stuff on here.
Pretty cool.
They got favorite animals, plants, monsters, minerals, colors. They got all kinds of stuff on here. It's where I get 90% of my info for your guys' games.
Is
uh
there like how much research have you done? Is there like a god that's against that god? Because I know sometimes that's listed in there, or maybe that god's
so
against something.
there is actually a section here that says relationships, and I'll just skip to this one part here. Although Eldath was diametrically opposed to Tempest, the Lord of Battles, they were not enemies. He thought she was naive, but appreciated her convictions and punished any of his followers that harmed Eldath's faithful or desecrated her shrines and temples. So there is a god that is the opposite. However, it sounds almost like a big brother, little sister thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, well, let me keep looking. Like there has to be something here, um, like that would get
Yeah,
people
I
going.
feel like we're on the same page where like you could play with that, especially if the character went out of their way to be like, and I worship this god. The DM could go out of their way to like have that god and worshippers of that god and other gods like make themselves known to this cleric and just kind of really be against the whole pacifism for this cleric, and especially be against their god if they make that known.
Well, and so there was another section because I was like, man, I was hoping there would be something, and there is. So there's actually a little thing, another section called dogma, and I was like, oh, okay, this should be interesting. And
What's
it
that?
literally
Okay.
the first line is Eldath's dogma was pacifistic. We cannot say this word tonight.
No, we can't. We really can't.
We're struggling tonight. Eldath's dogma was pacifistic, and her followers only resorted to violence in defense of themselves, of their friends and loved ones, and of pools and groves. All right, I
Oh, boom,
mean,
boom. I
right.
mean,
So,
boom. There you go. I mean, so
right.
your character largely is a pacifist. Is a pacifist. Pacifist. I messed up that last time. Anyways, doesn't matter. So like your character is who you say it is, but like if you are in a party and your party is largely, happy with each other. Because I've been in parties where they're like, we're not friends. We're not friends. We are on a job. But like, if you guys
Literally
do
our
have,
costume.
I would say as a DM, like try to. I mean, I would like in my games my players to be like, yeah, we're family, and I have nailed that on the head a few times, but not entirely in some games. In some games, I mean, it's not warranted, so you don't need to do it. But like, try to get that family relationship. Maybe not with all of them, but like maybe the cleric buddies up with the tank of the group or something like that. When the tank of the group's getting hit, cleric suddenly has a reason to protect that person, and now the cleric is hitting back. That kind of thing. And so like it's just it I think if the DM doesn't do the research for this character when it comes to gods, when it comes to just asking the player like what makes you tick, what would be a trigger for you, if the DM doesn't make that kind of research and go out of their way for it, then you might have just a situation where the character would feel nothing really. Like I'm a pacifist, but I don't feel like I'm bringing anything to the group. I don't feel like I'm doing much, and it would be lackluster on both y'all sides. And so it's just something that you got to work with your player with. Honestly, that you got to put that extra work in, so they do have like credibility in your world.
Yeah, and there was something that I found too, that I don't know how this person's campaign is set up or how it's going.
Yeah.
So this next part might be a little difficult, but there's another god called Myliki, who is basically similar to Eldath, but it's more for like druids, stuff like that, like very druid focused god. But there's a section in here that I was looking for, and it says Eldath and Myliki were said to directly bring retribution down on anyone who deliberately set fires in the high forest. So even in the reason I bring this up is if you go to the Forgotten Realms wiki, it gives you the books, whether it's like a source book, like say a monster manual, or like a book written by like I'll just use him because he's the most well known, R.A. Salvatore. Those books are all considered canon.
Oh, wait. So it gives you like sources to read,
It does. So these are
like
things that,
inspirations. That kind of, is that what you're referring to?
well, like if I were to go to use the player and you're like, well, I don't know where it would say that. I literally clicked on it and it says that this particular source that I just mentioned was from Silver Marches, which is a book written by Ed Greenwood, who's basically written every non-Drizzt related book that takes place in the Sword Coast. He is like the godfather of that
Okay,
area.
so
So if
I
you're
get what you're saying.
yeah, so if
Okay.
you're unsure, it's like, look, this is sourced, like this is a thing. So you can now, while it does mention a specific forest, kind of like what I did with the castle you guys ran into this week. It was supposed to be a place where devils had fought a war. I just changed it to demons.
Yeah, you can kind of like fudge it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So I just need you to see like this is possible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Okay.
your
Yeah.
God will do this. And like you said, work with them on like it doesn't have to be a whole big gigantic thing, but like um I had something that popped into my head when I was researching this just a little earlier. Um, they protect forests, and one of their favorite monsters are dryads and sprites. Well, those are really common in forests. So maybe there's some big bad, or maybe even just a little bad, just like a side quest kind of thing that is threatening the forest. And
Oh hell no! Threaten my forest.
right, and now
Threaten my forest.
you have a whole thing that you can do. and maybe it's a forest that you guys have to travel through to get from point A to point B anyways.
Yeah.
That's why I said this part may be a little difficult depending on the campaign setup.
That's what I
But
was thinking, like subplot. And I mean, I think of every character's backstory as a subplot. Like this is stuff that's happening around the greater picture. And I mean, it's all connected when it's think of like dynamic relationships. It's all connected to the big picture, but
yeah,
like it definitely explores like who not only that particular character is, but how they get to not perceive, but how they get to um, explore their uh, perception amongst the others. So like if the character says I'm a pacifist and you don't really get to show that other than combat, and then that's like halfway there. Like you need another way to show that like this is what I believe, and playing with your player's backstory is a great way to do that.
yeah, and so like I said, you might have to play with this. Is more obviously we have to speak in generalities, but I like that information was there and it's sourced because it's again it's something you can take to your player and say, look, even your god who is a pacifist will directly get involved every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so,
guess I mean I would only bring up sources when it's like when
well,
you're like in a having like a combative player being like, that's not what my guy
well,
would do.
no,
Like
like
it's
no, but
sourced, it's sourced.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like I'm looking at it from the perspective of like you have it if you need it. You know me,
Yeah,
I'm one of those like I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it kind of DMs.
yeah.
It's like I wouldn't bring that up. I would just say like, "Hey, I was reading and I saw this."
I think that's cool that they listed like that because um as a DM, though I wouldn't necessarily be like it's in the source, so I'm not gonna change or whatever. But what I would do is definitely read that book and just like pick up like the things that could connect to my world and then go from there. I mean, I get a lot of my inspiration just from books and movies as it is, and I plagiarize those all every day. And so yeah, just like try to find a source that you like and then and it just rework it.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think just kind of sum it up, I guess. I'm a research guy. I always that's just how I am, and in that I use pre-written stuff, so I like the lore of a lot of it, so I research to like understand it better. Whereas you do a lot of homebrew, so you're still researching, but you're more like, oh, how can I take this and make it different?
Twist it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, twist it. I'm too worried about saying pacifist wrong now, so I don't want to use
Say it wrong and let it live.
right. But no, but I guess my one sentence thing is do your research and kind of see if you can convince them of
That sounds harsh, Will. That sounds harsh. I don't like that.
okay.
I mean, I think the phrase "do your research," but like research as in like it could be
Well,
fun. Like just talk to your player. I think that's
no,
research.
that's why I
That
said
kind
it
of thing.
like a one set. That's why I said one sentence. Like,
Okay.
yeah, getting into it. Yeah, that's why I said just one sentence. But like, yeah, the overall arc is what we talk about. I think every week,
Mhm.
talk to each other. And I would also talk. I think you mentioned it when we started. I would talk to the other players first and say, "Look, are you guys upset that he or she is not doing more in combat?" Because if the other players don't have a problem with it, I don't even see why it would need to be addressed. Personally,
Yeah, I guess. I don't
because
know. I feel like coming to the players kind of makes it seems like, all right, everybody, is everybody cool with that guy doing whatever they want? And it's just like, I mean that's not what I would do.
well, the only reason I say that is because if the group is okay with it, and then it's like, okay, I don't like as a DM, it might be something you have a hard time with, but part of being a DM is learning and adjusting to these things.
Right.
And
I just don't think the group should have any say on how that player plays their character. But that said, if the player, like I said, when I played a pacifist, when I played it, um, I realized I wasn't having fun, and so like it might
Right,
be
but
just like a thing that the player picks up on, just like, oh,
well, but if the player is having fun, that's where you have that dynamic of uh, potentially, like we talked about this a few episodes ago, having a problem player or a player creating a problem and they don't realize it. Because for them, they might be having fun being a pacifist. That might be their thing. They might be a really just hardcore role play person, not realizing like, hey, this is a group game and nobody else is having fun. You said it before, like sometimes if we like in our Halden, if we want to go one place, somebody else wants to go another, cool, that one person can go do that, but they'll need to create another character for the rest of this. There's nothing that says your character can't be a pacifist, but maybe find a way to send that character in another direction where they can still be around and be helpful somewhere, but like, hey, we need to maybe re-roll you a character that's
I think that depends on what game you're playing,
well,
honestly.
and that's why I said that's why I'm
Yeah.
speaking in generalities, and that's why I said we don't know what kind of game it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the
So
game is like we're all gladiators in gladiatorial combat, yeah, maybe don't create that character. But
right,
like if you're adventurers and one player wants to be this kind of character, not using the word now, wants to be this kind of character, and I think that's totally fine, regardless if the other players are enjoying it or not, because like again, going back to what the character is, a healer, like there
yeah.
is no doubt in my mind that that character is not being beneficial. I think if the other characters have a problem with it, that's kind of their problem.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I think like I'm playing both sides of this here. Like I'm trying, trying to present both sides from a personal standpoint. Yeah, why not? I don't think we've actually played a game between the three of us where like somebody's like, I'm gonna be like a healer. Like we've never done that.
Like hard set healer.
Yeah. So like from a personal perspective, yeah, if somebody wants to do that, cool, man. Like that's one less maybe NPC I have to bring up, or I don't have to make like I know you talked about it. I don't know if on the show, but I know off camera, like I'll just make potions more readily available, like maybe cheaper. Well, you can always do that. I'm not saying you can't, but that's just like one less thing you have to worry about if you have a healer in your group. Like, yeah, I think for me again personally, and to you've got somebody who wants to play a healer, let them go. Like, it's
Right.
just
And just I and like just play with like the role play aspects of it. That person clearly seems like a person that wants to like dive right into role playing, especially being a new player. Like kudos with that.
yeah,
And you can have fun with that by like yeah, like having players mock them, then just seeing how they interact with each other. Having other I'm sorry, not players. Don't have players mock other players. Having NPCs mock them, and then seeing how that player and that character respond to that. But then also vice versa is having NPCs praise your character for not stooping so low in mindless slaughter, and see how that character responds to that. Like you can play
yeah.
black and white to both sides of it, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and I'm sure that character would be like, "Oh, this is awesome. This is what I wanted."
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're, I think we're both on the same side of this. Let them play their character. And I don't personally know of any group that's going to complain that they have somebody who wants to heal.
Yeah, and
That's,
just
I think,
just have an open discussion maybe with them. It could be like through text message or whatever, and just be like, "Hey, do you have fun?" That kind of thing. Because I go back to what I said when I played a pacifist. God damn it, is
oh, there goes the explicit warning.
damn it is not an explicit thing. I
Ah,
don't
but
think so.
you added the G before it, so
We've been talking about gods this whole time. It doesn't matter.
not you know what I mean.
Anyways, um, anyways, is just have an open discussion with them, because yeah, maybe they will be bogged down and feel like, you know what, maybe I, because especially if they're first time player, they'd be like, maybe this wasn't a great idea, or maybe I want to play it differently, and that kind of thing. And then you can brainstorm with them if they want to do that or change, because that, I mean, especially being a new player, that's like high concept idea right there. You gotta
Yeah,
have a plan for it.
yeah, and I think part of it too, just being a new DM, which obviously I still fall into that category. I can see where that would be uh disconcerting, like not to me personally because I have a video game
I'm
background.
gonna do it, Will. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna find a way to be past. I'm gonna first figure out how to say the damn word. Then I'm gonna try to do it again.
Well, but it doesn't bother me because I come from like an MMO like RPG background. So
Mhm.
it's like I was the healer. So I'm like, oh, somebody else wants to do this. Cool. That's like I can go kill things now. But I can see from a new DM perspective where you expected to have this kind of synergy of like the team, when I say working together, but like everybody attacking, everybody kind of having this role, and then somebody like throwing that monkey wrench in there. That's kind of how the show started, was me being like, guys, I don't know what to do when you did this. And then,
Mhm.
we talked about it. And
Yeah.
so I can see where the, like I said, like kind of to be a little more serious, although that's not possible this episode, I don't think. I can see as a new DM though, where that would be like, you have this expectation of how you think things are should be or how you want them to be, and you have this player that didn't meet your expectation as a DM. And when you're new, that is hard to come to terms with. You guys know that I've struggled with it a lot, and I've tried to like defend my position to you guys, and you're like, yeah, but this, or yeah, like it. Sometimes you try to defend yourself to your, like this is how it should be, and at the end of the day, I think just you gotta, to quote the great Disney classic, you just gotta let it go. Let them do their thing, man.
Oh, it took me a second to get that. I'm like, what Disney classic? What are you talking about? That's a classic already?
Do
I
you
don't
know
think
how?
that's a classic.
I don't know. I'll Google it while you let's see.
That's not a classic yet. You can't say classic. When you
I
say
bet,
classic, I was
I bet
like,
it is.
Bambi? You
I,
quoting Bambi? Like, what quote is from Bambi?
I bet it is a classic. Here we go.
It's a terrible quote from Bambi. Anyways, we're not a Frozen debate show. Okay,
Boom! It's on. Look, I found a list of. I just. Yep.
get out of here. Anyways, I was gonna say, if I had any tips to that, into like here's your idea, and then somebody makes that idea a little harder. harder, and it could be simply with just creating a character that I want to fight. Is when it comes to my homebrew games, I always have that. Always have that, and I think it's kind of like a skill of mine to where I am like constantly expecting a twist of events that I did not foresee. Because of that, how I write my world is very vague, and so I write my world vague. I write the plot vague, and then when the characters do something, I like to think of it as almost like a separate timeline. Here's what I had. Players did something, created a new timeline. But that said, it's one of those timelines where time will always be what it is, and it will find a way to get right back onto the same timeline. So, if anything, your player throws you a monkey wrench, just like Will said, do some research, add to your world, like add the gods. Maybe they weren't a big player in your original plot, but suddenly maybe they come into play, and then that can slowly just move right back into what you wanted. Just have some character development moment, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and yeah, I actually really like that idea of like, I was gonna say, when I think of your world, I look at it more like, when you were in school and like you had to look through a microscope for the first time, and you're like trying to get it just right. Like
Yeah.
that's what I think about a lot. Even if you're using a pre-made world like I do, is I have all this lore and all this stuff I can work off of, but I'm still adjusting to what you guys, like you said, what you guys are gonna do.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I think we can save it maybe for next time Matt's here. But we did the puzzles like we talked about last episode, and
We did a puzzle.
yeah, you guys, you had two of them, and we're not going to derail it, but like we discussed that, and like I was like, okay, cool, that happened, we did it. You and I talked about it a little earlier, like what we could do differently next time. But like that was all part of me adjusting my view of the world. Like if you guys were like just struggled and like you guys didn't enjoy it, I would be like, nope, that's never happening again. We're getting that out of here. You got like, and I'm not saying I'm gonna make it a thing again. We both just like I don't think I will because it has to fit. Like I'm not trying to shoehorn it in, but I'm still adjusting. This next session, I've already told you guys, it's gonna be a lot of info.
Yeah, it'd be weird to have like puzzles every session.
Yeah. No, God,
Just like, what is this world?
it's,
Everybody's fascinated by puzzles and traps.
it's an MC Escher world. You got upside
Yeah.
down stairs and
Yeah.
we do doors. It's nonsense. But no, but like it's going to be a lot of info, and I think I told you guys, or at least I know I told you, like you guys are going to have to make your decision on what to do next based off of all the info you get. Well, I have a rough idea of what I want, to happen. But if you guys are just like, no, we want to go do this, okay, well, I got to figure out how to make this work differently.
Yeah, I mean,
and so
break it down. Being a DM, character wants to be this kind of character. You really just got to be like, all right, didn't expect that blow, but here we go.
yeah. I mean, every time when you say that, it reminds me of Art Halden when me and Drew killed the Druid King.
Killed kind of a big. I was literally for weeks. I was like, "Ooh, this guy's gonna be crazy!" And then the first time he shows up, you're just like, "And we chop his head off." And I'm
he's
like,
dead. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean that was probably for you one of those anticlimactic. Like our Druid cast hold person. I throw my I play a paladin for those.
yeah.
I play a paladin with a trident, which is very odd, but it's very effective.
It works.
And I just like threw my trident, took this guy's weapon away, and then we were like, and we murder him.
Yeah, that was just a paladin druid working very, very well together. But like, I mean, that being said, it's just I expected something and I wanted to play into it a lot, and I could have said like, no guys, that is not gonna fly. That is not gonna happen, y'all. It what I want will happen. But you guys just happened to raise some very good points with the lore I had provided you. And because of that, I was like, damn it, they did their homework. And damn it, they said the right thing to trigger this man. And you know what? We're just gonna let it roll. And as a DM, especially when your players present that kind of situation, I mean, they were both having fun. I was like, I'm not gonna take that away from them. And so going back to like that one player, if that one player's having fun and you see the rest of the party having fun with a pacifist, did I get it? Was I close? No, damn it. If you see everybody having fun, I mean, you're doing something right, I think.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Going.
Yeah, as long as everybody's having fun, I think that's the important part. And yeah, I take it from me. Being the new guy, don't stress it. It'll come together. And play.
Might even have to retcon something. Maybe later down the line, you'd be like, I got it.
Well, and the one thing I was going to bring up to you, and it's not something I've dealt with yet, but you guys have brought up too, is you brought it up at the very beginning. Like you see whoever you're fighting sees they're a spellcaster, they start to target them. Play your encounters the way it's supposed to be played. And I'm not saying to go out of your way and do this, but if something happens to his character, like a character death, it happens.
Oh my gosh. Will, dang.
No.
If he doesn't want to fight, kill the man. What?
I literally just said the opposite.
I get you though. I get where you're coming from.
Like when we brought up the fact that like they may target him because they see he's a magic user. Now that's actually that actually to me brings more of the players working together into it, because now your barbarian, paladin, fighter
that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, like now they have to protect your pacifist healer, because if not, they lose their healing. And so if anything, that brings the group together more.
I would hope it's not like begrudgingly. It's where the players are just like, we're gonna protect you, like that thing. I don't like that kind of play style, like, I gotta protect the weak, that kind of thing. But that being said, if they were to play it the other way, which is like I'm protecting my party and like really defending them, you could have fun with that. That's cool. That's like, yeah, like you said, bonding,
Yeah,
bonding moment. we
exactly.
we
So,
just slayed a bunch of people. Bonding moment.
yay.
Hashtag friends.
BFFs. Um, all righty. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have anything else kind of to add to this.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good. All right, guys. So
Covered it.
obligatory YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys just want the audio version, as always, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, what is it? It's YouTube, or no, Google Podcast. I'm looking at this has just been an episode.
Good one.
Yeah.
No structure.
No structure. So we do also have our Patreon. If you guys do choose to support us, as always, we appreciate it. And if you have any questions you guys want answered, leave your questions down below, and we will get to them in a future episode. So as always, everybody, have a good weekend and happy gaming.
Insert back mode.